Hey guys, welcome back. Today, talking about the 2024 GMC 3500. There she is, baby. Woo-wee. Come on, let's go.
Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. I hear 'em chatting the noise. Move too quick.
Whenever you jump in the truck, you get the old Denali. Oh yeah. Popping up, letting you know that you just emptied your 401k. So that's what you're welcome to every time you open the door up and jump in before you hit the start button on the truck. So on these, I actually like them better than the Chevy. They give you a big silver start stop button. So let's give her a rip, see what she sounds like. So you can set this truck up for different options when you have a trailer plugged in too. So when I plug my trailer in, down here on the right, this oil pressure gauge here actually turns into the transmission temperature. Obviously I do not have the trailer here, so I can't hook it up to show you, but you're just gonna have to take my word for it. And this whole screen here in front of the driver's display is completely customizable. So I have over here the time and the temperature outside. Now I understand that that's kind of redundant because if you come over to here, I also have the time and the temperature over here. But sometimes when I'm driving, I just like to look straight down and just take a look and see what time it is. That way there I need to know if I gotta hammer down or if I gotta back her down. We never back her down. We always hammer down. But still, nonetheless, you see this. Over here, I have the TPMS for the truck. So anything to do with the tire pressure, I just like having it up here all the time. That way there I can keep an eye on it in case we do get a flat somehow. Also can move through some different screens here. I can just have the speed. But I don't know if you'll be able to see it, especially with the daylight. Maybe a little bit, but I do have a heads-up display as well. So that, I don't usually run the speed here because it's right in my line of view while I'm driving. But yeah, you can see here I also have trip meters with fuel mileage. Fuel mileage wise, I mean, as you can see here, 9.6 with average fuel for 6,000 miles. Anywhere between, depends on what you're doing with it. If I'm going down a county road doing about 55, I'll hover between 14 to 18 miles per gallon. I've also seen this truck at 22 miles per gallon at one point, and that was just kind of a fluke thing. I was really babying it and trying to get that fuel mileage. When you're buzzing around in town, honestly, that 11 is about right. You're going to be at about a 10 to 12 just buzzing around town, and then when you tow, with the Brinkley especially, I'm seeing between, depending on what kind of travel you're doing, if you have a headwind, etc., you're looking between like 6.5 to 9. 9 being lucky. You're never going to break double digits, in my opinion, with this truck towing that heavy of a trailer. Our Montana that we had prior to this Brinkley, we were getting about 8, 9, and then we could get double digits with it. That trailer was about 15,000 pounds, so it made a significant difference. Here's my cruise control settings. It does have adaptive cruise control. Honestly, sometimes it does hiccup on me and it'll break sometimes when I don't want it to. So I'm really not a cruise control kind of person, but it is something that I'm going to have looked at because I don't think it should just break for no reason. So I have a heated steering wheel, and over here these buttons are practically useless for me because I have Apple CarPlay, so I never answer with here. I just tap the screen. So then moving up, you can see here we got a TST tire pressure monitoring system for the trailer. Not a huge fan of it, to be honest, but it does work. I'm gonna get a different solution because I'm not crazy about this and I'm not crazy about this. Now this is a camera system for the trailer, so I have rear cameras and side cameras on the Brinkley, but the problem with this is if there's any sunlight on it, it glares. And it drives me bananas because it's practically useless. I'm gonna be in the market looking around, and maybe I can partner with somebody who has a better system. I've seen a couple out there. where they have the cameras and they have the TPMS integrated into one. And up here, I do have a camera as my rear view, or I can just flick it to a regular what's up rear view mirror. I personally like the camera. It's a wider angle. Pretty sunny out, and the glare is hitting me pretty hard today, but the infotainment on this that comes stock, and I'm going to do something that I never thought I would do, but for the purpose of this video, here it goes. Oh man, never taking that off. 25,000 miles. Does look pretty sweet now, and it's probably got a little more glare to it, but that's all right. So you go up here, you have different options within this screen, and it has a lot. Up here at the top, it's trailer focus, so you hit your trailer, and this is a profile that you set. So obviously I have the Brinkley, and it'll tell you how many miles you've towed it, and right here, average fuel economy. So it tells me right here, I get an average of 7.76 miles per gallon towing the Brinkley so far, which is about what I said, you know, between 6.5 to 9. And you can do light checks. So I guess I have to have the trailer connected, but if I hit lights, it'll take me to another screen where I can do a test. I can get out of the truck and it'll light up all the different lights on the truck and the trailer. I don't have to have Kate behind me, and I can yell at her, 60 feet away and say, hey, is the left blinker working? Cool little function. I can set up reminders for maintenance on the trailer. Hey, when it gets to a certain amount of mileage, I could put in here, hey, once it gets to 5,000 miles, grease up the axles, hit the wet bolts, whatever I need to do. And I can set up a bunch of different reminders for that. And also it has a checklist, so I can make sure I can come down through and check this before I do a departure and say, hey, have I done all these things? Now, I haven't utilized this yet, but, it's a good function to have, and maybe I will going forward. And I have 360 cameras on the truck. As you can see, the little camera button here. If I tap that, as you can see there's the front camera. I have the rear camera, different bird's eye looking down, the sides, the hitch. The best one that I use, and you'll see in some of the future videos, is this one here that gives me the bed view, and I can see the fifth wheel hitch right here. Now, it is a little hard for me sometimes to gauge left or right, but this is a huge help. Now, don't leave the toolbox up, or else you'll have an issue, because then you can't see, and you might have a little scuffle with your spouse about it. You can zoom into, which is super helpful, so when I zoom in, I can really see the pin once I get close if I need to. So coming back here, you got a music function that I don't use because I'm always hooked up on CarPlay, so if I go to CarPlay, there, takes me to just a regular CarPlay, and the CarPlay is wireless, plus I do have, if you can see this, a wireless charger here in the middle, next to my trailer brake controller. But yeah, so I have all my functions wireless. Let's check out that payload. Now, if you see that number there by my finger, just left of it, it says that I have 5,296, which means that's what I can put in the bed of the truck and with all the occupants inside the vehicle. So this kind of puts to bed the idea that a single rear wheel could do it for us. So is the Denali 1-ton dually enough truck to tow our Brinkley 3950? Quick answer is yes, of course it is. It's plenty of truck. It has a 36,000 pound towing capacity, and our trailer is around 22,000 pounds. So plenty of meat there left for us to pull. It's actually, we need to work it harder. Maybe we need a bigger trailer.
Oh gosh, I don't know if I could do that.
All right. People in the forums have been talking about F450s and how that's really the only truck they think that you should buy if you're going to get into a Brinkley. Which,
but why would they say that?
It does have its perks. Number one being the turning radius is way better than my truck for sure.
No more 10-point turns.
Well, there's still a lot of turns because his 8-foot bed dually still sucks to park. We can't get around that, but it is different, and it does turn tighter, which is nice.
Okay.
And then the second is the tires are different. They're stiffer. They're commercial grade. But with that being stiffer, it rides rougher. And do you want a rougher riding truck, Kate?
No, this one rides plenty rough.
Rough enough. So that's one thing about these trucks is even though it's a Denali and it's this and that, it rides like a board.
Yeah, it does.
And there's no way around it, really. I mean, unless you you know, do some aftermarket modifications. But, you know, honestly, it's not really that big of a deal, and we actually really like it so far.
Mm-hmm.
We got
I love this truck.
we
Out
got
of all the trucks that you've had, this one's pretty good.
this one's probably one of the best.
Yeah.
And it's got 25,000 miles on it, so we've already been working it a little bit.
Yeah.
25,000 miles, people are probably like, oh.
I know that sounds so silly to say, but we really haven't had it that long.
Well, we've had it almost 2 years.
Okay.
It's our sole vehicle,
Mm-hmm.
so, but it works good. I mean, I'm curious to see what the mileage will bring, but I think it'll only bring positives going forward. It's been good to us so far. We did have an issue with it from the factory. There was an injector issue, is that they brought it in and they had an engineer from GMC come down, fix it, and it was just a programming issue from my understanding. But still, it was a problem. It was a hiccup, and I don't know if there's any brand out there that's been unstaved from some type of issue. So
Very true.
anybody who's a Chevy guy doesn't like Fords. Anybody who's a Ford guy doesn't like Chevys. Yeah, but I don't mind Ford, honestly. Ford was the other brand that I looked at when we were buying new trucks. Well, we did try a Ram at, I can't say that we did try a Ram, but
We did. Yeah. I didn't like it as much as this one, though.
no, it was, and to be fair, it was used too. It was like a 2 or 3 year old model. It wasn't brand new, so it wasn't apples to apples. But in my head, I was like, it's either Ford or Chevy. And this deal actually popped up out of the blue. We were looking at a completely different truck. This one was a technically used truck with 60 miles on it.
Yeah, we lucked out on that.
So we bought it from the dealer. This guy, he ordered it and then brought it right back and traded it in for a Camaro.
Yep.
So don't ask me what, but I just wish I had his kind of money.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
he doesn't care.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
like, oh, he comes in 4 times a year. Every season buys a new car. I'm like, okay.
If I had his kind of money, I'd have a Brinkley and a truck.
Huh?
You'd have a Brinkley in a truck?
Yeah.
Yeah? Like
Yeah.
you do?
Yeah.
So if you're looking to dump your 401k, I think, you
Don't
know,
follow the channel.
yeah, don't follow us. By the way, we do have 100 subscribers now. I know it doesn't seem like much, but we
But
are
it's pretty
growing.
cool.
Hey, it's going up every week. We're having a good time with it. We're having fun, and we got a lot of big things coming up. And I think we'll be able to show you more about our truck while we're towing too going forward, because we are stationary right now. So we got a lot of big things coming. So come follow. So I think if you're going to get into this caliber of RV, you definitely need to go dually.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And Kate fought me on this at first because our Montana was kind of on the cusp where we could have had a single rear wheel. It would have done just fine. But you wouldn't have been able to grow from there. And the dually just gives you that little bit more safety feeling. Plus, like I said earlier, the room to grow. We can have the extra stuff in the truck, and do whatever we want. We don't have to worry about payload. So towing a trailer that's like, I would even say 16,000 pounds or above, you're going to want dually. A two-y.
Oh, a tui is what Rich's grandmother would call it. A tui.
Yeah, a two-y. So if you really like this video and you think this is pretty good, but you want to know more about the truck, leave me a comment in the description below and tell me that you want to see a full review, and I'll open the glove boxes. I will open all the little gadgets and show you every little trinket in the truck. But right now, you're just getting, is it enough truck? And that's it. Thanks to Vernon over at the Wandering Rocks family on Facebook for sending in this Peterbilt setup that they use. Pretty sweet, isn't it?
For the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Man, so tough, but mans keep walking. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls let it tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch man, please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets.